I'm also going to make use of the USD collection node. And the USD collection node is very similar to the usual collection create node on Katana side, where you can add a number of scene graph locations to a collection that then you can use, you can reference downstream in the future for things like material assignments. And this node can also be used to edit collections that are already in the scene. So for example, if you have collections that have been brought in with a USD layer, then you can use the edit action to make any necessary edits to that collection. So the first thing to do here is to set the prim path for the location that I want the collection to live under. So in this case, I want this collection to be underneath my child T-Rex location. So I'll just click and drag that over. And then if we have a look over in the Scene Explorer, you can see we have a new collections working set. And this shows any collections that exist under a specific location. So if I add a collection name here, for example, skin, then you can see that the symbol will appear to show that there is a collection under this location. We also have a new collections panel in the Scene Explorer, which you can enable and disable next to the USD and Katana toggles. And this will display all the collections in the scene once they're enabled in the collections working set. So you can enable these in the usual way by clicking the icon under the working set or right-clicking and choosing the option. And so this panel is a really nice way of keeping all of your collections separate from the rest of the scene tree. And the working set is a nice way of really controlling which collections you have visible in the panel. So if you end up with hundreds of collections in your scene, then you can make sure you're only viewing the necessary ones. Cool, so that's where your collections live. Let's add some prim paths to that collection. So if we have a look in the USD collection parameters, there's a couple of ways to start adding prim paths. So the first way is to use the includes and excludes parameters. And the second way would be to use membership expressions. But it's important to remember that you can't use both of them together. They're designed to be used separately. So the includes and excludes option allows you to add paths that you want to include in the collection, and then any paths that you may want to exclude. Membership expressions are a slightly newer workflow within USD, and because of this, there's still some limitations where it's still being developed. But overall, it's designed to offer a more powerful way to make prim path selections through the use of USD's pattern-based collections. And as I mentioned in the intro, pattern-based collections are very similar to Katana's cell option. So if I click the Add Statements button, you can see that we have the same options as you'd expect from cell, where it offers paths, collections, and custom. The custom option will allow you to make use of USD's pattern-based collections. You can use expressions to make selections based on things like naming conventions or prim types or kind, or if the prim paths have specific attributes. And you can find more details on these expressions in the USD documentation. Cool, so I'm creating this specific collection for the T-Rex skin. So I'm going to use the syntax, which is going to collect everything underneath this location that contains the word body, because this will give me the selection for the body mesh that I want. And I can check this is working by using the Select in Scene Explorer option, and that's doing as I want it to. So I'm just going to use a group stack to create a few more collections for each of the different materials for the T-Rex character. Cool, and once all of these are set up, and we can make sure that the correct locations are being selected using the Select in Scene Explorer option from within the collections parameters. But we can also right click on the collection inside the panel and choose Collect and Select for each of these, and just make sure that the correct mesh and the correct locations are being selected for each one. And it looks like that's all set up and working as expected.